How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about storms. So I was looking for a video to react to, and I found one by Lawrence. He's got the channel called Lost in the Pond. Really good channel. Go check it out. The video is called British Thunderstorms Ain't Got Nothing on America. And I don't know how you guys' storms are over there. I always figured that your storms were worse because it's by the ocean and everything. I know the storms here can get pretty intense sometimes, and this isn't even, the worst part of the country. I live in northern Indiana. Um, so, there's places out in Arkansas, Kansas, places like that, Texas, that, their tornadoes get way deadlier, way worse. But we definitely get tornadoes around here. I've had some come really close to me before, quite a few different times. Never, you know, never got hurt by one, never, been like close enough that I'm like right there next to it, like on the movie Twister, or anything like that. But anyways, the channel's called Lost in the Pond. Like I said, the links to the original video will be in the description section down below, so make sure you go check that out. And let's see what this is all about.
Hello, I'm Lawrence and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to storms. So I was about to leave the house and take my puppy for a walk when I looked at the weather reports. Apparently, at the time of filming, Mother Earth is angry with Chicago and the rest of the Midwest because she's sending us some very unpredictable weather over the course of the next few hours. But I'm an optimist.
When was this posted? Let me see here. Okay, 6 months ago.
I'm somebody who likes to turn a negative into a positive. So, since we've got this stormy weather coming our way,
I'm like that too. I like to try to find as many positives as I can in a situation.
anyway, why not make a video called British Storms Ain't Got Nothing on America? But before I do that, I've got a few minutes before the storm is projected to hit us, so I'm going to take the puppy for a quick walk and I'll be back in just a moment.
And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, do that now!
Well, Arthur, I think the weather reports must be wrong. It's really dry out here. Where are you going?
Oh, Arthur, you know I haven't run since the camel incident of 1998. Keep going.
That's another thing. He's like, oh, well, I think the weather report was wrong. It's dry out here. The weather people are wrong so often. It's funny, honestly. I mean, that's just something. I'm sure it's like that in all, where you guys live too, though.
And then Arthur, keep going. Thunder's coming. The rain's coming. We've got to get home.
Good doggy.
During my time living here, one thing that's really stood out to me about Midwestern storms is that in the hours and even minutes leading up to them, there's often no hint of a storm at all. Things can be entirely placid, but then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Mother Nature lets out one huge wind gust.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be like that. It'll be like a nice, bright, sunshiny day, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, just exactly like what he's showing here.
And as that wind blows the leaves around like ants in a tumble dryer, there's something else that accompanies it. Really f***ing ominous clouds that look like they're going to devour the motorway. And I'm often told that when clouds have those little pointy bits hanging off them, you've got to be a little bit careful because that could be the precursor to a tornado. So far, we've got nothing.
Not necessarily the pointy bits. There's clouds that they call funnel clouds, and those are the ones that are possibly the precursors to tornadoes. Not all funnel clouds turn into a tornado. A funnel cloud is basically a tornado that's because tornadoes they form from the clouds, right? And then they come down. And then when they touch the ground, then they spin around like Tasmanian devil, all crazy, and then they zip through houses and all that, right? A funnel cloud is basically the start of that, so it's starting to spin, but it doesn't touch the ground. It sticks out from the bottom of the clouds like the pointy bits that he's talking about, But if you look at this, those are just pointy bits of regular cloud. They're not spinning around. So, but yeah, if you see one spinning, those are the ones that are funnel clouds and potentially precursor to a tornado, not necessarily these ones.
The
Sorry, Lawrence.
motorway. And I'm often told that when clouds have those little pointy bits hanging off them, you've got to be a little bit careful because that could be the precursor to a tornado. So far, we've got nothing like that on the horizon today, even though much of the Midwest has experienced that recently. And now that I think about it, it could happen. But thunderstorms, that's what we're here for. Let's see how it's getting on. Amazingly, amid all of this rumbling that's going on, my animals have been handling it quite well. I was never really concerned about my cat, who's experienced this many times during the 13 years he's been on this planet. Thankfully, unlike some cats, he's not under the misapprehension that he's hearing a giant vacuum cleaner, and just looks at the storm with the scorn that it deserves. And Arthur, a little puppy, experiencing his first ever thunderstorm, at least on my watch. And mostly, in terms of the thunderstorm, he's fine. He spent most of it chewing on his toy because he's going through some dental pains like all puppies do at this age, poor little bugger. By far and away, the southern United States sees more thunderstorms than anywhere else in the nation, with Fort Myers, Florida recording an average of 89 thunderstorms per year. Mental. But I've just learned that one of the most devastating thunderstorm complexes occurred here in the Midwest. Back in 2012, when I was still living in central Indiana, a fast-moving derecho emerged.
Yeah, so central Indiana. I live in north central Indiana, which isn't too far from Chicago, where he lives. I was trying to point it out on here, but Indiana. Let me see. I'll show you here. Indiana is under my thumb. It's this longer kind of bit right here. And Chicago is right here at the corner of Lake Michigan in this state, which is Illinois, which is where this Lawrence guy's living at now. But yeah, he's talking about bad storms happening. We had I think it was the 70s, there was a giant string of tornadoes that came through northern Indiana, possibly Illinois and all that too. And it was called the Palm Sunday tornadoes because it happened on like Palm Sunday. It was I guess some of the worst tornado outbreaks to happen in the United States. It leveled houses and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, let's get back to the video.
But I've just learned that one of the most devastating thunderstorm complexes occurred here in the Midwest. Back in 2012, when I was still living in central Indiana, a fast-moving derecho emerged in Iowa before sweeping its way through Illinois and then clear to the Atlantic coast. On its path of destruction, it claimed the lives of 22 people and brought damages of $2.9 billion. And having experienced the derecho of 2020, I'm familiar with how such storms often coincide with the hot temperatures of summer. But they're not uncommon here in early spring as the thermometer flirts with the 60s, the temperature, not the decade. Anyway, I think you're going to want to see this because in the last few minutes there's been a development. Yeah, it is still coming down. Yeah, that is the craziest looking hail I've ever seen in my life. We don't get anything like this in the UK.
How's the car looking?
It's...
You guys don't get hail in the UK? Yeah, we get hail a lot of times. It'll happen like right before a tornado comes through. If hail comes down, it doesn't mean there's gonna like for sure be a tornado though. It just means that the possibilities are there. You know, the circumstances are correct for one. If there is a tornado, normally there would have been hail that comes down ahead of time. You know, so it's an indication that there could potentially be one. Yeah,
Still falling?
it is still coming down. Yeah, that is the craziest looking hail I've ever seen in my life. We don't get anything like this in the UK.
How's the car looking?
It's mostly good. That is a piece of hail that I just picked up from the ground outside. It is definitely the biggest piece of hail I've ever had in my hand. And I have to drop it now because it's melting.
That looked really cool, like the shape of it and everything.
America is no stranger to large pieces of hail that hail from America. In fact, by comparison, some pieces make the segment that I held in my hand look like a fairy fly, albeit a frozen one. You see, I read today that in 2010, a piece of hail measuring almost 8 inches in diameter came down in Vivian, South Dakota. It remains the largest hailstone ever recorded in the history of Earth's history. The second largest was found in Nebraska some 7 years earlier.
The biggest in Earth's history that they know of. It's like how that's just the biggest one that somebody was like, "Oh, this is interesting. Let me tell somebody about it so that they can record it." I'm sure there's been bigger ones and stuff like that that's happened other times that just went unseen, or if somebody's seen it, they were just like they didn't care enough to call anybody and tell them.
Earlier, proving once again that everything is bigger in the United States except Q's, but that's irrelevant. But in my neck of the woods, the hail lasted all of 60 seconds. And just like that, as was the case before the storm started, everything is now placid. The storm has stopped. Which is good news for Arthur, because we can now take him on that longer walk, and I've just realised he's going to run through all of the sloshy mud. Alright, Tara, are you ready? It turns out
Yeah, dogs love to run through the sloshy mud. So does my child.
neither of us were ready for what happened next.
Ominous. Do you think that's the end of the world, or just the coming of a tornado? Probably neither. Probably just testing it.
Oh, the tornado sirens.
Probably go and find out.
This was no test. Just when we thought it was safe to go back into the water, an even bigger shark was emerging from the deep. The Chicagoland area was under a tornado warning. And to be
Yeah, I do remember hearing something a little while back about a tornado that went through Chicago. This must have been the one that he's talking about.
clear, the shark bit was a metaphor, I hope.
Hey, I know you like looking at the wind, Kafka, but we've got to go.
So, currently in the Pittsburgh potty, I have toilet roll for no real reason. We decided, since it's only a few minutes, this tornado warning that's in effect, we wouldn't bring down the whole crate, we'd just bring him down on a leash and let him roam a little bit. Kafka doesn't have that luxury, because if he did, he would tear Arthur to pieces, not literally, but they do tend to fight. So yeah, we are just seeing it out. It's supposed to only last about 12 minutes or something like that. And that's pretty normal. I mean, these tornado warnings don't last long. The weather systems move pretty fast. Kafka's trying to escape as we speak. You want any words for your audience? I know, I hate putting you in here, but, you know, gotta take these precautions. And I'm tired. Among the world's countries, the United States in particular...
There it is. That's one that's spinning. That's a funnel cloud that I was talking about earlier. Yeah, you can see how it was spinning.
Your audience? I know, I hate putting you in here, but, you know, gotta take these precautions. And I'm tired. Among the world's countries, the United States in particular is synonymous with tornadoes. In fact, of the 67 tornadoes powerful enough in history to have been classed as an F5, 59 were recorded in the US, and that number is even higher if you account for Brock-less tornadoes. In fact, of the 67 tornadoes powerful enough in history to have been classed as an F5, 59 were recorded in the US, and that number is even higher if you account for Brock Lesnar. And in 1925, one of those F5s became the deadliest in US history when it ripped through Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana along the longest tornado path ever recorded. In total, this one tornado claimed the lives of almost 700 people, the vast majority of them right here in Illinois. Well, after all that, according to the radar, it really is all over now. So, Arthur, you've earned a trip to the dog park. And I'll be honest with you, it's completely and utterly a little bit not surprising that Arthur wasn't scared of the thunder, because he's not even afraid of the big dogs, and I have to admit, he played with them in a manner that was admirable and disgusting. There was a lot of cleanup after that. Well, after all that drama, that's it for this episode. Let me know in the comments below if you've ever experienced a storm quite like this one.
Yeah, let me know down below also about those storms and, how crazy do they get in your neck of the woods. Until next time, you guys have a super fun, awesome day. I'll catch you later. All right, bye.